Hey everyone, this is Dr. West and Amanda. We are doing some information about Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and this is our first Facebook Live video. We're kind of excited to do that. I'm really comfortable with Amanda, so I said, let's try and do something because I really want people to know about this condition, disease, and what symptoms you get, and then also, some options, both traditional and non-traditional, because all I really care about is people get better. This disease is so crazy because it mimics so many different things, and I wanted to show you guys, or at least interview someone that's been through it all. And so that was really neat. So I asked Amanda, would you do that? And she was like, oh, I know exactly how to do Facebook Live. I'm an expert, so we can do it. So Amanda, some things that come to mind when people say Lyme disease, what goes through your mind?
So Lyme disease is very tricky. They call it the great imitator because it kind of mimics many other autoimmune diseases.
For sure.
I know lots of people who have been misdiagnosed with things such as chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, MS. So it kind of just, it can create over 300 different symptoms. So often people don't even know it's Lyme. They just know that they have something autoimmune possibly, and it's just very tricky because it's hard to pinpoint Lyme directly.
Okay, and so particularly with your experience, you started experiencing symptoms how long ago?
Almost 17 years ago now. I remember a tick bite when I was about 5 years old, and symptoms kind of started out slow, but yeah, it's been about 17 years, and through the course of the next 17 years, I kind of had symptoms come and go, and it wasn't until I was 15, about 10 years after contracting it, that it really hit me hard.
And when you say it hit you hard, like people don't understand, yes, her video is up on our website, on our testimonial. It's Amanda's wheelchair to walking, and obviously you're not in a wheelchair. But like when you were the lowest of the low, like tell people what was happening.
When I was at the lowest of the low, when I came to see Dr. J, my doctors had kind of told my parents at that point they didn't anticipate me living through the end of the year. I hadn't walked, taken a single step in over 2 years. I couldn't talk above a whisper. I barely recognized my family anymore. I was seizing up to 10 hours a day. I forgot how to read, write. I had lost 30 pounds. I mean, I was just kind of basically a vegetable, just a shell of a person who really, I couldn't do anything for myself at all.
And so what comes to mind when I first saw you is you had like dark purple glasses. You were like super thin. I mean, I don't remember your exact weight.
I was about 78 pounds.
Yeah, I was unreal. And then you were in a wheelchair, and you were both basically, I remember in our intake you said, hey, everyone, I'm going to Idaho to die.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, you can't come to my office and die. That's unacceptable.
Well, I thought Dr. J was crazy when I first came here because I'd kind of just given up at that point. I'd written goodbye letters to all my family months prior. I, at that point, just wanted to die. And so many times I'd been given hope only to get a little bit better and then relapse again. So when I met Dr. J and he's got this like great energy and hey, we're gonna help you and get you better, I just says, you're crazy, stop telling me this, I don't wanna hear it, I'm not gonna get better. But after even just a couple weeks, like symptoms just started going away one by one, so I couldn't deny it at that point.
Yeah, it was really touch and go because you wanna meet people where they are. But I was like, look, I really believe if we can put your body back together, we're going to help you. And she was like, look, don't give me hope that you can't live up to.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the case. So many people that have Lyme disease, what occurs is they're scared to hope, they're scared to believe because they'll come in and say, hey, just take this antibiotics for 2 weeks and doxycycline or Rocephin is going to fix you. Or just do this zapper machine, or just, I mean, there's all these different things, and I really want to keep an open mind to what's helping people because all I care about is that the patient, gets better. But that being said, the treatments that we do here were a little unique because you got diagnosed with Lyme at 15. The reason why you came out to the office, I think, was the fishing show. Was that it?
Greg, Seasons on the Fly.
Okay, so was it your dad that was watching it?
My uncle.
Okay,
he just happened to catch the end of the episode. And
so a shout out to my friend Greg Heister. He has a fishing show called Seasons on the Fly. He came to the office, he was really sick, and periodically in his segments or as a trailer, he'll mention Lyme disease, get the facts. Your uncle saw it, she told your dad, and then all of a sudden, we're flooded with Floridians.
Yeah.
And of course, we love people from Florida. There's kind of a joke about that. But prior to that, so your uncle says, "Hey, check this out." Were you diagnosed with Lyme then, or did you get it here? Like when I say not the disease here, did you get the diagnosis here?
I had been diagnosed, but I'd already been treated for it. So at that point, they said you don't have it anymore. But I was still struggling with it so much that when I came here, you kind of confirmed, yes, it's still in your system.
Okay, and so a lot of times people will call that PTLDS, which stands for post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. And so and I learned about Lyme disease in college, and it was literally a paragraph. It was Lyme disease, vector-borne illness, bullseye rash, 2 weeks of antibiotics, everybody's healed, next disease. Like that's literally what I learned. And I think a lot of providers are like, hey, this is the parameters. You have a bullseye rash, we whack you with antibiotics and you're fine. And any residual stuff must be something else.
Right, they don't tell you much about it. And like the reality is most people don't even ever see a bullseye rash. And you don't even, if you don't catch it right away, 2 weeks of antibiotics isn't gonna be enough. It's infiltrated your system too much at that point.
So a wonderful example of someone that's just cowboy tough. Amanda's had a tick bite at 5, started having all these symptoms. Really, I think the lowest of the low was 15, 16.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's true.
And saying, hey, come out here. Don't get me too excited about anything. You're giving me, you're blowing away my energy. Don't do that. And then what was fascinating is, I think it was just was it 1 or 2 weeks that you were here and then you went back?
Yes, I was here just briefly at first.
Okay, so briefly we saw a little bit of changes. You guys went back home, and then how soon was it when you came back?
I want to say about 6 months, because you definitely helped me, but then at that point we're like, well, we're just going to go home and try antibiotics again, and then at that point we saw more improvement in 2 weeks here than we did 6 months of antibiotics there, so we came back.
And the reason why I think that is because I don't believe that Lyme is an antibiotic deficiency disease. That's kind of a play on words, but antibiotics, they go after the bug, and I think the reason why Lyme is there is because it's the body not being healthy. You can't ward it off, and so you can kill the bug, or you can go after it with antibiotics, and then what happens is you get all the co-infections, and you get candida and aspergillosis, and all these other things start to set in. And then it's, okay, let's try a different microbial to try and knock that out. You're just chasing things. I think the way to get people better is you just have to make them healthy. Like, you got to get everything balanced, vitamins, minerals. So you went home for 6 months, you came back. Was that the time that you stayed with me for 2 months? Or was it, wasn't there like 3 visits in there?
I think, yes, so I was here for 2 weeks, and then I went home. And then when I came back, I was here for almost 6 months.
Okay, I don't remember that long, but okay, yeah.
And then, because I got a 6-month lease on an apartment, and I stayed here for about 6 months. And then after that, I went home, and then I came back again.
Okay. So, but what was really cool about that is that's when we went wheelchair to walking.
Yeah.
All right, so she was in a wheelchair, this frail 78-pound, Terminator person. And I say Terminator because she had glasses all the time.
Yeah.
Didn't like to be around people, didn't like to be around sound, couldn't handle light, we had to talk in stage whispers, like funeral voices around her, because she was like, hey, it'll give me a headache if you guys talk normal, which is hard for me because I was like coming in and going, okay, we're gonna do this, and she's like, you give me a headache. But an awesome story. So you guys can see her testimony, wheelchair to walking. And so we go through, and then some really neat things happen. I think you came back for a little bit a while later, and then you decided to expand your relationships.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Here?
No, you were back in Florida. You got married. You
Yes.
had 2 little girls.
I got married, and I had 2 little girls, and I also wasn't even supposed to ever be able to have kids, but through the treatment I got here, I have a husband and a 1 and 2-year-old daughter now. So,
okay, so
2
really
daughters.
That was like a highlight when she's like, hey, look at this. And so I got to meet one of your babies.
Yeah.
You brought her out here.
I did.
And then we're going along, and then we have a little hiccup. So what's the hiccup?
Yeah, so probably in the last 6 months or so, because I had 2 pregnancies back to back and then 2 car accidents back to back. So through that kind of just minor trauma to my body has not dealt with the stress well, and practice the pregnancies very well, so now I've had a bit of a downfall, and I'm back for 2 weeks to get some additional treatment, and I really haven't been feeling well. My muscles are bothering me, and fatigue and some different things. My blood's not quite as healthy as I would like to see it, but at the end of the day, I'm just thankful that I went almost 2 full years without having to return.
And this
doing
is
really well.
This is something I see on chronic Lyme all the time, because what happens is you can be going along just fine, and then you have some type of upset. It's amazing the amount of energy it takes for women to bring life into the world.
Yeah,
So
it does.
don't discount that. It's shocking to me that happens. That women have more than one kid. That's like the first thing that comes to mind. The second thing is these other things that happen with the car accidents and stuff. When your body gets assaulted, what happens is the defenses kind of come down, the inflammation goes up, and then if you have any susceptibilities, I don't think that you can get Lyme out of the system. What happens is you can make people normal, and then if you have car accidents and some other things, what happens is the body's defenses goes down a little bit, the Lyme will flare up, almost like a canker sore or a cold sore. We get the body healthy again, it's going to go away. So I totally believe that we can get Amanda to where she was 2 years ago. But and it's amazing history of your Lyme, of 5, 15, 20, bring 2 kids into the world, get into some car accidents, obviously not intentionally, but it's so traumatic on the body. Then we have that signal, and now how we're going to help Amanda is we got to get your body healthy. So the treatments that we've done that have helped you, just to educate the audience, we've done some IV therapy.
Yes, lots of things.
We've done some neural therapy.
Yeah, neuro's probably been the most helpful thing for me.
Okay.
Well, as far as pain.
Right. So what neural therapy is, it's a way to get your nerves to open, close, and reset. So that means that your body's kind of like a computer. If we called up tech support and we'd say, Amanda's computer isn't working right, tech support's going to say turn everything off, turn it back on. So we do that. And then what occurs is then the body starts to heal and to get better. So we did IV, we did neural therapy, we did some nutritional therapy. She took control of her health by saying, hey, I'm not going to put poisons in my system. I'm a really good eater.
I'm very healthy, yes.
Very healthy eater. Never seen her pounding Doritos or Oreos and stuff. Of course, those are outlawed in the office anyway. But
I mean, sometimes I cheat, but not often at all.
All right, so Amanda, our Facebook Live first video, your takeaway for Lyme, or what you want people to understand about the disease, to summarize, would be what?
I just want to say, there's over 300,000 new cases of Lyme disease every year, and it does imitate so many different things. So if you ever are diagnosed with something or struggling with some kind of illness and you can't pinpoint it, get tested for Lyme disease, because so often people go years without realizing it's what they have, and it really does affect far more people than you realize. So if you're unsure, get tested. You never know. And
then the follow-up to that is, if you do have Lyme, or you're Lyme positive, you have Lyme history, if you make the body healthy, you can get really good outcomes. And that's tailoring a nutritional program, it's doing IV vitamin C therapy, it can be nerve reset therapy. There's so many things that we can do for that. And so I just wanted to tell everybody, check us out, West Clinic Online. You can see Amanda's story. I'm going to put that up on our Facebook page, but also that there is tons of people that we've been able to help. We haven't been able to help everybody. I don't think anybody has all the answers to Lyme disease, but if you put everything in balance, you get really good outcomes, and you can have a wheelchair to walking story, just like Amanda. So this is Amanda and Dr. J signing out, and we'll see you guys on the next video.